This is the rocker, Keith Ramsey from Deep South Paranormal, and you're listening to Steve and Naomi on Into the Unknown Realm on DTM Wicked Radio.
Welcome into the unknown realm with your hosts, Steve and Naomi from Stir's Paranormal. Take a journey with us into a world that few understand and even fewer dare to go. On your home for everything wicked, DTMWickedRadio.com. Welcome into the unknown realm. I am Naomi.
I'm still Steve.
And we have Quiet Steve in on the chat room, as always. So he says, hey, which is just actually a
hey.
funny little private joke between us all within the team.
From an investigation.
Yes.
Some pictures that were taken.
Yeah, we went to, I guess we'll fill you in. We went to we'll say a horse farm place, and there was hay.
There was a cart full of hay.
And it's like, hey. So, I know, you had to be there. It was funny at the time. When you're, like, overtired and just need, sleep and
a hay.
And, yeah, a nice little haystack to cuddle.
You need to hit the hay.
Stuff like that's hilarious. Unfortunately, the Patriots lost. Can you believe it? But the last time they lost in a season opener, what happened?
Win. 2003.
Which is awesome because, we're all for them winning the Super Bowl,
I just love
right?
everything that's been put out there about Brady sucking and retiring and this and that, and I just don't know. Oh, we're in last place. Woo! Guess what? Tom Brady's still the man, and anybody that says they would not put him on his team or their team is just out of their mind.
I have to give big props to Mayo because Mayo, did amazing.
Was he held?
Was he held?
Yeah.
Mayo?
Did they held the Mayo?
Oh.
Sorry.
You were so funny. Crazy boy next to me. There was something. I missed someone's birthday last week, and I felt awful.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
I would like to wish my biological father, Joe, a happy birthday.
A very, very happy birthday.
I think he's turning
Joe.
94 or something like that.
No. You have to have respect for that man. You two looked exactly alike when you were 21.
That's enough out of that.
But yes, Wednesday is his birthday, which is awesome. Big happy birthday to him.
He's actually been on investigations with us before.
Yeah.
Loves it. So, big supporter. And we support that it's his birthday.
Yay. It was actually my goddaughter's birthday was, not goddaughter, I'm sorry. My very best friend's daughter's birthday was yesterday. And a huge happy birthday to her because she is sweet 16 now.
Aww.
God help Andrea. Good times. Coming up next week, just to let you know, we have the Blacks coming on. If you're not familiar, that is Riley and Stephen Black.
I am so out of the loop.
Oh, I didn't. They're from Black Cross Paranormal. And also Riley is the host of Club Para, which we have been on that show before, too.
Those are two rocking individuals right there.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely. We actually adore the Blacks. We have a great time whenever we're with them. And we had the pleasure of hanging out with them recently. Where were we?
We were down for Ocean State Paracon.
Yes, and we had a great time actually with them. And
went out to eat dinner.
Yeah, with a whole mess load of people.
I don't even know what the name of that restaurant was, but they just kept bringing food. It's like it's all you can eat, but it's not a buffet. They actually bring it to your table. It was amazing. It was like chicken and mashed potatoes and bread and salads and I think even macaroni and cheese, a pasta salad. It just kept coming and coming and coming. It was awesome.
Yeah. So these are two very unique individuals that they are awesome because they like mesh well off of one another and just a powerhouse couple. Cannot wait to talk to them again. Always a pleasure to speak with them. Not to mention, they're both beautiful. Oh my gosh. I mean, they take such good care of themselves and I did not know this until we had dinner with them. Riley used to be like 200 pounds. I mean, you look at her like, no way. She's so
Did you
teeny
just give
tiny.
Somebody's weight on the air?
Huh?
Did
Oh
you?
no, she told that.
Okay.
She ain't anywhere near that now.
You never tell a woman's weight or
age.
age.
No, a guy does never tell another one.
Oh, that's why I didn't say nothing.
On the 22nd, we have Chris Rondina coming on to the show. I am really excited about this because it's something. He's actually an author. He wrote the book New England, The Vampires of New England, and also Ghost Ships of New England. And
I come to suck your blood.
Yes. That's kind of a whole different area that we've never covered on this show. So, and he's a super, super nice man. And actually helping us out big time for our event coming up. So excited. And then
we have an event coming up?
Yes, we do. Oh. And then we have William Wallace coming on. We had the pleasure of meeting him over at the Haunted Victorian.
I had the pleasure of scaring him over at the Victorian.
This man looks just like Santa Claus. But anyways, he is a very interesting man, and he has these amazing stories. And just one of those people you can just sit and talk with forever. And not to mention he's hilarious, and he's a Pats fan. So...
Bringing it back to Pats land.
And okay, back to the event thing. We are actually having. Sorry, Steve's distracting me. We are having an event coming up. Our group Stirs is doing an event come October 5th.
Tell them where.
Now, if any of you saw
this mug.
Yes, that mug on
A&E's My Ghost Stories.
Yep.
The bio channel. Now Naomi's a little distracted.
Yes, I am. I'm definitely distracted. We'll tell them about what happened.
Yeah. So, anyways, A&E My Ghost Stories. We were actually spotlighted at the Seacoast Repertory Theater here in Portsmouth, New Hampshire. It is a really, really old theater right in the downtown heart of Portsmouth, New Hampshire. So much history. I knew about it 20 years ago, and they were so gracious to let us in to investigate. Myself, I've been in there 4 times, and it has not failed to produce some type of activity all 4 times I've been in there. So I'm excited to get back in. But the Seacoast Rep has offered us to do a Halloween event on October 5th for pretty much low money. And we are going to do that for a charity, if I'm correct there.
Yes, we are. We are going to be doing it for the Boston's Children's Hospital, which is awesome. Steve and I both actually have had services for our children done there, and
great place.
My daughter had heart surgery there when she was a young child,
and my daughter had a tumor removed from the back of her neck, which had actually wrapped around the spinal cord, the size of her fist at 8 years old.
Crazy. Totally crazy. Oh my gosh, you wouldn't believe the auto text that my fingers are putting. Anyways, so my daughter had heart surgery, and they so graciously, at the time we could not afford to have the surgery, and they took in my daughter, did the surgery anyway. She was the 12th person to ever have it done on her, and my daughter's alive and well, doing well. Steve's daughter's alive and well and doing well, and we just
both are in college.
Yeah, awesome. Anyways.
Kicking butt and taking names.
So tonight we have a very, very special guest coming on. We're very excited, and you guys all know him from Ghost Adventures, and he's also from Sun House Films. He just started that. Very talented, has so many things under his belt. And we just want to welcome to the show Jay Wasley. Welcome.
What's up, Jay?
Hello. Hey, guys. How's it going?
Good. How are you?
Doing well. A little tired, but good.
Tired? It's that Monday tiredness, huh?
Yeah, I guess it's kind of my weekend right now, but I was filming all week in New York City, so it kind of wore me out.
Yeah.
You filming for GA right now, or?
No, we're actually off on GA. We just got back from Mexico, so we had the week off, but picked up, been shooting for a new Lifetime series, actually, just working on it. So, yeah, once that comes out, I'll let you guys know what it is, but I can't really say too much about it ahead of time.
Can't divulge.
You know, I'm amazed about how many things that you've had your hands in. Just unbelievable. And I'm not sure everybody realizes that, I mean, you're not just a part of Ghost Adventures, and you're not just a part of your production company. I mean, it's just, there is a whole long list of amazing things
I
here.
want to say she has 3 pages of stuff that you've done in front of her right now.
Just that part, yeah.
I guess I have a pretty long resume, I guess, and I like to keep busy, and you know, I luckily am fortunate to do what I love to do, and so I kind of never stop, even when I have days off.
You know, we had the pleasure of meeting you, it was about a year and a half ago in Tilton, New Hampshire. You and your lovely wife. And, you know, I have to be honest with you. I honestly didn't even know who you were when I met you.
That's quite all right as well.
But this is the kicker. When I met you and your wife, and I was so intrigued by you guys. And you guys were just talking about, like, your wife is very incredibly talented with her picture taking, and then, of course, you had your Ouija boards that you make yourself, and they're beautiful. I mean, they're you know, gorgeous. And I was like, I don't even know who I was talking to. I'm like, oh, you know, those people, they're really, really nice. They're like, do you know who they are? And I'm like,
hey, Jay, she was talking to me.
Oh, okay, yeah, okay. And I'm
right
like, well, that's Jay, that's Ashley. And you're like, yeah, but do you know who they are? I'm like,
I had to fill her in.
yeah. I'm like, they're cool people.
I appreciate that, and I'm glad that your first meeting of us was kind of not a biased view or anything. So that was great. And, you know, I love the show, and I'm very fortunate and happy to be part of the show. You know, but at the same time, I live up in the mountains, and you know, it's nice to kind of be the newer guy in many ways.
You know, I saw a video where I'm asking about this because I want to know if it was actually truly staged or if it really did happen.
Oh, it was definitely staged. I don't know where you're going with this.
Where they forgot that you were in the trunk because you do the sound from the trunk while they're driving.
Mm-hmm.
Do you really?
That was, in the Vegas episode, right? I believe. I think we were filming. It was like a webisode, like an extra feature, I think, for that episode. And yeah, that was when you do sound, when during the interview parts, I put microphones on the guys and they send a wireless feed back to me that I record. But the problem when you're doing it in cars, at first it's like, I'll to get in a follow car or something like that. And, but with the engines and there's so much metal, it creates a lot of interference and you don't get a good clean signal. And, I've been doing this my whole life and I was like, I'll just climb in the trunk of the car, and it's kind of one of those things out of sight, out of mind, I guess. And they were driving around and they kind of shot what they were planning to shoot, driving around, and then got to a point we were driving around for a while and I can hear what they're saying. So then every once in a while I'll just kind of give a kick to be like, hey, like, are we done? Kind of like I need to get out of here if we're done. Like, and then, suddenly Zach realized, and, kind of made a little, I guess a little joke out of it.
It didn't seem like he was going to let you out of the trunk.
That sound. Well, yeah, and that's the thing. At first we just pull over on some road and then some other car happens to pull up and he kind of freaks and thinks that, who knows if we're going to get in trouble or you see a body in a trunk. And so the first time I did I've done a movie and I did a movie a few years ago, Philadelphia, it's called Changing the Game, and we were filming a scene, and it wasn't me this time. I was actually lucky enough to ride in the back seat, but we were in the ghetto of Philadelphia, and we stopped, pulled over, and the camera assistant, he was riding in the trunk because there was no room in the car. We had actors and the camera guy and myself were in the back seat, and so he ran out and then, kind of fixed up the camera, got it ready, and then he hopped back in the trunk, and then one of the actors came and shut it. And, like I said, we're in the ghetto, the worst part of the city, and when we pull back, we shoot the scene, we come back into our little area, our little alleyway where we had home base set up. And as soon as we pull in, all of a sudden all these cop cars swarm in from all over the place. And they come out with guns drawn and everything, like, get out of the car. And, and they got a report that some, little kid, or not a little kid, but some younger kid, because it was a young assistant camera, got basically kidnapped and thrown in a trunk, and so the cops swarmed on us. But luckily they realized the main actor who was in the scene was actually this guy Sticky Fingers he was from a rap group, I think, back in the 90s, I believe. Mm-hmm. And so like one of the cops recognized him and realized, once they looked around and saw the cameras and everything, they realized it turned into a big photo op. And luckily no one got in trouble.
Awkward moments. That's so funny. Oh my gosh. So I know right now you are working on a film, right? Because I know you were doing some casting, and I think it's Through the Glass. Are you able to talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, absolutely. Through the Glass, it's a feature film I wrote and directed. Originally a short film version about 2 years ago. Finished that up, and then it kind of just a short film. I wanted more. I felt it needed to be, expanded even more and get it into that feature film range. So I rewrote the script and kind of developed it into a full-length feature film. But I was able to keep everything I've already shot. I don't have to redo anything, and the way the dynamic of the film works, it actually works that it's a different time, a different, even different equipment. It can be a completely different look. It's okay. It still works for the film. And I developed it into a feature length, which now I'm shooting probably about only about 5 or 6 days left. Planning to shoot this fall and just finishing up the casting process and finalizing some locations, and then we'll shoot for the last few days and get it finished up.
Now, are you all done with your casting call, or do you want to put a little shout out there for interested people who might want to jump in your field?
Luckily, I got an overwhelming response from, where I went to do my casting, and I worked in the Philadelphia area a long time, lived in Philadelphia, so I have a lot of ties to the Philadelphia film community, and so a lot of amazing people came out of the woodworks, and so I'm not officially 100% casted, but I have to basically make my final choices, but I definitely, I'm happy with who I have, and just going to make the toughest choice and, pick down between the main two good ones.
I absolutely would hate to do that. Be the person be like, you
well,
can't.
if you're ever in a bind, I have a face for TV.
All right. I'll definitely keep that in mind. And the toughest part, too, is that, one, I look at other people and I'm like, oh, man, they would be great for this other movie that I have and this other script that I wrote. And then it makes me be like, oh, maybe I could develop that and make that real quick and cast them for that. But I got to start focusing, instead of spreading myself too thin. But.
Yeah, you must be. I mean, to do, the show and then also to do this whole full featured film same time. I mean, I know with me, I have my regular full-time job and we have the radio show and then of course we have our team and then of course all the other regular stuff that comes to life, like being a mom and you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah,
I am beat by the end of the week. How are you doing it? Because you're like traveling all over the place.
Yeah, I'm pretty beat, but at the same time, I do, like I said, I love it, and then it keeps me going, and I'd much rather wear myself out and have sleepless nights and be physically worn out doing something I love than there's a rewardingness to it too, I guess. At the end of the week, or I don't have necessarily a regular work week, but when I do finally have that day off, and I feel like, wow, I'm really feeling this. This was a rough week. There is a reward to it. It's almost like when you're exercising and there's no pain, no gain in a sense.
Right.
And luckily, I mean, with the show, we shoot every other week, so it allows me basically a week off. I think about 10 days or so that technically I have completely free. And so that gives me 10 days to kind of, either pick up other random work or work on my own personal projects or just do nothing or, go hike the Appalachian Trail for a bit or, work in the studio or, kind of it gives me that freedom and time to be able to do, kind of whatever little bits I want to do. And, like I said, I kind of end up filling it up with more projects than rest, I guess.
So you were saying that you've done this for a long time, and I believe it was into your childhood. What I guess was like the ghost part of this? Was that something that you wished and hoped for back when you were even a child, or is it just something that sort of just fell into your lap and you went with it?
Yeah. Well, I mean, I never thought about working on TV in the paranormal, and I think at the time, even when I was younger, there wasn't too many shows. But when I was even, younger, there was definitely no shows. But I remember I was into the paranormal growing up. Even as a small child, like I remember middle school, maybe even younger, just always having a fascination with, the afterlife and not necessarily any one certain mythology or belief system. Like I would be interested in learning different beliefs and myths and legends and anything supernatural. It just fascinated me, and I remember studying it. And luckily, I had parents who were very, they would push me to learn and not necessarily hold me back and say you have to learn only this or that. They allowed me to kind of learn whatever I wanted to learn.
That's awesome.
So I was really fascinated and found similar friends that were into it as well. There's always those few kids in school that are into it, but luckily I was able to meet them, and even my early friends that we're all, even today, we're all still musicians and artists and filmmakers and photographers, and so we kind of always grew up in this creative, think for yourself kind of neighborhood really in society, and so it kind of just developed from then. And then I guess as I got older, the real life kind of kicks in, and I kind of strayed away from the paranormal a little bit, and then I probably, I guess, early 20s when I was actually starting my film career, I had another intense paranormal experience, which actually inspired me writing my feature film Through the Glass. And then kind of nothing happened, and I kind of was like, all right, that was I basically revisited the paranormal world, and then something crazy happened, and then I was like, all right, I'm good. And then went back into my regular life, and you kind of stray away from that, And then years later, I'm full-time working in film and television, and then I get a phone call saying that if I can go out to Vegas and work a week on this show, they need a sound guy, and I went out and ended up being Ghost Adventures at the Goldfield Hotel, and I've been on ever since. So it kind of, it's like I started with the paranormal, and then, like I said, life takes you away, but then it came back. It almost like it found me and called me back. And then once I came back, like I said, originally I was just hired as a sound guy, like just like any other sound guy. But for some reason, I feel like we were all brought together, and we talk about this a lot, with the other guys, and all 5 of us, like we all came together in kind of odd ways, and we feel there is a real reason why we all came back, and to like leave the paranormal and then come back to it, and and over time, then I kind of developed and became more of a actual full member of the team, and still going strong today.
Now, I have a question for you. And, I mean, this is kind of, I guess you would consider maybe a controversial question. And I guess I'm really big on people, like, kind of for themselves, clarifying for themselves. You know what I mean? And I've heard, like, several times people say, the difference between ghost hunters and Ghost Adventures is Ghost Hunters were the people, they started doing investigating. That's, what they did. And the guys from Ghost Adventures are the ones, they were actors originally. And
the film and all that stuff.
Yeah. So, I mean,
real easy enough to clarify and answer your question is that Ghost Adventures, they were never casted, they were never produced, they were never put together. It came out of Nick and Zach met, and they were friends, and they were into filmmaking, just like I'm into filmmaking.
Right.
Just like Ghost Hunters was into plumbing. I mean, that's what they did. And they got together and did this, Nick and Zach were both into film at the time and studying film, and they, had the idea to let's go out and investigate these places. We live out in Vegas, not too far as Goldfield and Tonopah and Virginia City and all these amazing ghost towns. Let's go out and make a documentary. And they went out, literally the 2 of them, and then that's why they brought in Aaron to help out with camera. And like just literally the 3 of them sleeping in their car, paying for everything out of their own pocket, and they're pretty much college age, like no one has that much money then, especially to fund a full film, like and doing it out of your own pocket, and went out and did this and made a documentary. And then luckily the documentary got such a well reception, and it did well in festivals, and it got noticed. And I think, don't quote me exactly on it, but I think Sci-Fi might have picked it up first and actually aired the documentary, and then, created more of a buzz. And then they kind of decided they would put it into a TV show, and then Travel Channel came along and actually, gave them the TV show based from their own independent documentary. No different if, you 2 went out and filmed your own documentary, and the right people at the right time saw it and said, here, we'll give you a show on our network.
Right.
That's sort of actually what happened with the My Ghost Stories for me. I sort of went and, just to a local place around here, and I happened to throw it in the newspaper, and they saw it or seen it, and then next thing I know, I was getting a call to go out to Hollywood to film, only 1 episode, but that's my brush with fame. So,
see, Jay, that's why he thinks he belongs in your movies, because he thinks he's a superstar.
Right. Hey, you never know. I mean, a lot of things happen overnight. You never know.
And I didn't mean to put you in a difficult spot. I know.
No, it's okay.
We like to clear the air.
Yeah, I'm always
for
people are always saying this, that. It's like, what, you really don't know until you hear it from their mouth. You know what I mean?
There's always going to be haters out there and people talking, but they have no idea. They don't know. And, I guarantee any people that do say anything negative about anything, even other shows or other stories. I mean, there's so many fake news articles now and all kinds of stuff. And those people, they have no idea what they're writing about. And that's one of the problems. I love the internet and I love our technology, but on the other hand, the downfall is that people are starting to believe anything they see, anything they read, even just comments. People are like, "Oh, well, that's true." It's like, no, that's just people, with internet muscles, basically, bullying and push.
I love that.
If it's on the internet, it's got to be real.
It's got to be, right? It's just got it, absolutely. We have one of our teammates that absolutely, loves your show. And he just, I think he gets so excited, when he hears one of you is going to be at this place or going to be in some event, and he's like, oh my gosh, we gotta go.
I appreciate that.
He gets so excited, and he was actually there with us when we originally met you at
okay, nice.
in Tulsa, and I just remember him just staring at you. I'm like, okay, you can go say hi,
Right. Oh yeah, we're all very approachable, regular people, and I always, say, I love the fan base, and I think our show particularly has an amazing fan base, and then, I kind of just thought of this, I guess it was maybe about a month ago. I was thinking, I was like, you never really see any Ghost Adventures commercials. You don't see too much promotion for Ghost Adventures. But yet it's the highest rated shows on the network, and it does very well. But there's no promotions. And I was like, wow. And I was like, that made me think, how do people find out about Ghost Adventures? And it's because either a friend told them, and we're like, hey, you got to check these guys out, or a family member. It's all word of mouth. It's just people that like it and connect with it that would be like, hey, you know what? Come along, you got to check this out. And then they tell their friends, and they tell their friends, and that's how it grew. And I think it's such an organic, natural fan base, and I just, for that reason alone, I think it's amazing. It's not a paid-for audience, it's not a bought audience, or a lot of projects, a lot of things. You can buy audiences now. You can pay for advertising. You have millions of dollars to spend on advertising. You're going to get an audience,
right.
But there was no advertising. There was no money for that, and our fan base grew from actual people that really were into it, and I love that, and I think that's amazing, and they're really the reason keep us going strong because of the turnout we get from them and the responses.
I have to admit, I love you guys' selfies.
Thanks. And I was thinking too, we love communicating with fans via Twitter and social media, and when we're on the road, it gets boring sometimes, and we like to have fun. And the thing is, we are a group of friends going out doing this. It's not just we're not casted, we're not produced, we're not put together. It's we're doing this. Yes, it is a job, but we're doing it because we love to do it. We love working together, and we have fun, and we get to share that fun even beyond the show with social media, which I love, and is it's great to be able to have that tool these days.
Yeah, it is amazing. I mean, connect with anybody, anywhere, pretty much throughout the entire world, and I would have died for that, when I was a little, I come from a military family, and we moved all the time. And, we leave our friends, and we call them, when we get to our new place, because we miss them terrible, But it was amazing that then we were lucky to get little letters or get to call after 7 o'clock at night when it's cheaper. And now, I mean, kids, they have the ability to just text or chat on
anyone in the world.
Yeah, anywhere, and by video, and it's crazy.
So speaking of the fans, Jay, I mean, there's got to be locations that you go to where the fans know that you're in that town or you're going to a certain location. How does Ghost Adventures keep those fans away from interfering with the contamination of an investigation? Or does that not even happen?
No, I mean, we sometimes we're in small towns, and, the first day there and people spot us, and all of a sudden the next day there's, double or 10 times as many people. So, the thing is, we don't ignore them. We don't push them away. We basically go up and greet them. We go up and say hi and take pictures and thank them and everything. And honestly, they'll end up usually going then, it's I think people that don't acknowledge their fans. They're the ones that, like, they'll be sitting there and waiting and waiting and waiting, and it's like, oh, you know, but we would actually interact with them and thank them and everything, and most of the time, like, they're happy and they feel, you know, they met us and got their photos and everything, and so they go home. You know, and the random, you know, occasions, if there are, I mean, we've had, you know, police block off. I remember we were filming in Texas, and there was a lot of people that gathered around the location, but luckily it was a big location, so there was a lot of space to keep them up. But when we drove up, you know, across the street, there was just a crowd of people, and, you know, we were in that kind of situation. We actually had you know, police came in to kind of make sure that they all stayed away and kept, you know, not on the property or anything like that.
Nice.
Very nice.
Now, do they actually lock the doors? Do they lock themselves in, or is that just a phrase that they use?
No, we definitely lock the doors. There's sometimes where, I mean, we've done so many, and not every single one. Sometimes we have access to different parts of the buildings, so obviously we're not technically locked in because we can go from building to building,
right.
Things like that. But it still is, you know, we'll meet, you know, we get there, and, you know, usually I'll get there a little early with Billy, and we'll set up nerve center and get the equipment ready, and then the guys come, and, you know, whoever is the, you know, our main person there will usually kind of greet us and be like, all right, we're good. And, you know, if there's any help with shutting off lights and making sure everything's shut down and basically everything else is locked up, and then they leave us there to kind of have our own, you know, basically full run at the place. You know, we don't have to, you know, we don't have people hiding in the corners and things like that. Like, whoever you see is who's there, and that's it. You know, it's a very,
so you're locked in the
know,
location with them.
Yeah, unless I'm in a tent outside sometimes, or in a van outside, or other times I am inside in certain rooms or something like that. So, you know, it's you know, we're very honest, and we'll tell you. You know, we'll say, oh, this time, you know, Jay's set up in a van. Jay and Billy are in a van out front. So, you know, Is it locked? Well, no, because they'll be coming in and out. But we have control of the location. You know, there's no one sitting there saying, oh, don't go in that room, or, no, get out of there. Or, you know, there's no people hiding in other rooms or anything like that. Like, it, in a sense, so it is, you know, locked down just for us. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, I know that's what caught my attention when I first watched the show, was that, you know, at that time it was the three individuals that went in and locked themselves into these locations. And when you see the padlock on the door from the people that own these locations, it's like, okay, how are they getting out if something does go wrong?
Yeah.
Right.
And I think,
I think one of the shows, part of the stuff. Yeah.
I was just going to say, I think one of the shows, I think they jumped out a second-story window, didn't they?
Yeah, I think so. I forget where that was. That was, I think, before I was on, but I do remember that one. But the thing is, too, even before I became part of the investigation, when I was just doing sound, I would do sound all the way up to the actual lockdown, and then I would leave. So, I mean, even before I became, you know, more part of the show, you know, I was pretty impressed to see that, like, wow, this really is just, you know, and even, you know, Billy wasn't even really involved that much. Every once in a while he would do, like, an analysis, but, you know, it was literally just the three guys would get, you know, locked in and be like, all right, good luck, guys, see ya. And then I would end up flying home, and that was my part done. And from working in television and everything, it still amazes me how much freedom, you know, like, there aren't producers telling any of us what to say, what to do. You know, the network's not saying do this or do that. Like, it truly is 5 independent guys that are out there making this basically a documentary, you know, an hour-long documentary, or 40 minutes after you take out commercials, you know, pretty much every week. You know, like, it really is this raw indie film, and I think I love it, and I think why I've actually, you know, been able to engulf myself in it even more, because it is something that I can really connect with. And, you know, I've done a lot of other shows where it is very, like, produced and, you know, structured, and, you know, and, like, yeah, it's a job, but creatively I don't like it. And I feel Ghost Adventures is much more of a creative, independent project, which I can, you know, definitely stand by.
You know, I'm amazed. I mean, you've had your hand in so many different things, like you were saying, different shows or whatever, like the Jenny McCarthy show.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that must have been fun. She's
yeah,
a fun lady.
It was you know, it was just a random job in between filming Ghost Adventures, and I'll get random phone calls, and other people that I know, and will call me up and say, hey, are you available this day or that day or these 3 days or something like that? And if I'm available, I'll go out, and it tends to be some interesting stuff. I remember I did a couple of days on the X Factor, but it was for Spanish TV, so it was like El Factor X or something.
Do you speak Spanish?
No, but I was actually pretty impressed with myself when we went to Mexico, and I was actually able to communicate. And, I was pat myself on the back a little bit for that one. I took Spanish in high school, and luckily I was able to take a trip to Spain when I was in high school, and so I actually got to use it a little bit, but I haven't used it since. And so I was kind of, I know a couple words, but I get there and I was like, oh, this actually, I can converse enough so myself and whoever I'm speaking to can at least understand, at least the point of the conversation.
I was married to a Dominican man, and it was so hard to communicate, like with his mother or some of the family that didn't really speak English. But I knew, a fair amount of Spanish, but I could hold a really good conversation with his 2-year-old nephew.
Right. Yeah. No, I actually did a show in the Dominican Republic around Santo Domingo, and the same thing. It's like, oh, I don't know, but once you kind of get into that, you surround yourself with it. It's amazing how you kind of pick it up in a way. And another time I did a show, or I guess it was more of it's a show now, for Vice. I don't know if you ever heard Vice. They're on HBO. It's like a news kind of programming. And we did a show, and it was all an Amsterdam crew, producers, and even the talent was about these Amsterdam painters. And, I don't speak any Dutch whatsoever. I can't even tell you how to say hello or anything. And, but it was about 3 days, and then the final day we're all, saying our goodbyes, and we just finished filming. And so we all posed for a picture together, and the guy taking the picture is speaking, Dutch, and he says something in Dutch, and I automatically just turn to my left, and everyone else turns to their left a little bit. And he's like, hey, you just understood me. And he points me out, and I was like, what? I don't even, and he's like, he said, turn a little to the left. But he said it in Dutch, and I had no idea, but it was just weird. It was almost on a mental level, it's weird to say, but almost psychic. He just said it, and I was just like, oh, just did it without even thinking, hey, he just said to do that.
Past life.
Now, Jay, I would love to hear one of your most kind of scariest moments you've had with doing all these investigations that actually that you were scared and you maybe wanted to leave the situation.
But the doors were locked and you couldn't get out.
Yeah, the doors were locked.
Right? Yeah. And in this case, it was definitely one of the scariest situations I was in that I would love to have, and I've actually had, almost that shaky nervousness and anxiety rushing over me, was at the Wyoming Frontier Prison. And at the time, it was just Billy and myself were the only ones in there, and we were kind of doing a little pre-investigation. We had this old jail, and it was completely locked up. We actually had the people go around, and it's like, I don't know if it's federal or state property. It's it's pretty locked, pretty controlled. You can't get too close to it. And we were in there, like I said, doing a pre-investigation. We had cameras set up everywhere, and this was actually one of the first times where I was actually brought into the lockdown. Well, no, maybe it was about the third. It was the first time where we did a full-on nerve center, and all of a sudden I put on my headphones, and I had microphones all throughout the jail, and I just start hearing footsteps and, the jail cell doors opening and closing, and all the floors is metal grating, and you just hear clunk, clunk, clunk walking down the grates, and I was just like, oh my God, it sounds like it's a working jail. And I took the headphones off, gave them to Billy, and he listened, and it was just the same. It was just like, wow, this is really intense. And it was so much that I was actually getting nervous that someone snuck in. I was like, wow, someone has to be in here. This is so active, so much sound going on. Like there's got to be. Like it's, you know, like I'm a big believer in the paranormal, no doubt, but my first mind is a skeptic. You know, I like to try to have to prove it and be like, okay, what is this? You know, and with this, it was like, oh, that has to be somebody. Like there's so much of it, and so it got to a point where I was like, all right, Billy, you go in there. I want to keep listening. And he's like, all right. So he goes in to check it out. All right. Well, I got to keep listening to make sure if it goes on or not. You know. So he goes in, and you know, I don't hear it as much. So I'm like, okay, you know, there's something going on in there. And he's looking around, and you know, we have walkie-talkies, and I can see him because we have most of the jail covered in cameras, so I could see him where he's going. And then all of a sudden, he calls me on the walkie, and he's like, Jay, did you just come back here? And I was like, no, I haven't. Like, I'm still at Nerve Center. And he's like, I swear, someone with a flashlight just walked by. And I was like, where? And he pointed to me, you know, because I could see him on the camera, and he knows that, so he points to me. He's like, down this hall right here. And I was like, no, there's no one walked by there, especially with a flashlight, because I've been watching. You could see that clear as day, you know, that no one's walked down that hallway. And then all of a sudden, at the end of that hallway, there's a room, and we have another camera stationed, and all of a sudden that camera completely shakes and goes flying down to the ground with force, like like someone throwing the camera, and it freaks me out. And I was like, all right, this is insane, like this is crazy, like it's either incredible paranormal activity, which it ends up being, or I'll still like, I was still kind of on edge, maybe like, oh, there's somebody snuck in here. And then when Billy came running back, and we replayed the footage, and you could see, you know, he points out, he's like, oh, that's where I thought I saw someone walk by. You see nothing on the camera. And where the camera was in the room, you could see the ins and the outs. And no one came in that room. No one left that room. And all of a sudden, like, basically, it's kind of hard to explain without, like, drawing a diagram in a sense, but, like, where Billy saw the figure, or what he thought he saw was a figure walking by, would lead to the room where the camera was, which is right where the camera is shooting. So you would have seen this figure walk in, and it was enough time where, like, I think it was, you know, incredible paranormal activity where he did probably see an entity walk by. Our cameras didn't pick it up, but the entity was there and had enough energy to actually throw down our camera. And the thing is, afterwards, you can actually hear footsteps going away from the camera.
Wow.
And like I said, like you could see the ins and the outs. No one came in and out. And even after that, you know, we were freaked out, and we kind of stayed at Nerve Center for a while. And then after that, you know, once the guys came in, we were like blown away and telling them, and they were like, oh my God. And then all of us went out, and we literally searched cell by cell and, you know, door to door, checked every door, every window to make sure everything was sealed up and that nobody was hiding in any little nook or anything. And there was nobody, you know. And, you know, it's an older jail, but it wasn't that big. You know, it's big enough, but, you know, we were able to go into every little space, and there was nothing, you know. And it's still, like, to this day, that's probably one of the scariest, you know, unexplainable events that occurred.
Wow, I would definitely be quite nervous myself.
Yeah.
You know, we went to Rolling Hills Asylum, and we were down. What were we down? Shadow Hallway.
Yeah.
And you could just hear like people just walking around. Like I want to say like a group of maybe like 20 people
above us,
and you know, and we knew no one else was, you know, around us in that area.
Right.
And so we're like, that's so weird, you know, because we didn't see anybody come or, you know, and
Naomi actually said, oh, it's got to be a group, the other group above us.
There's got to be. It's just got to be a group up there because it's so loud. And and Steve's like, no, there's not another floor up there.
I'm like, that's the roof.
I'm like, no,
there's no access to it.
There's definitely another floor up there. And he's like, no, come with me. So we go all the way upstairs, brings me right to the door, and there's the roof. And I'm like, what the heck? So we talked to the lady who owns it, Sharon, and she says, you know, that's funny because there used to be a floor up there.
Used to hold the delinquent boys.
Yeah.
And it burnt down.
Yep. And
that's cool.
yeah. And the whole, like, you couldn't go through that door. It was
locked.
extremely locked. Like,
but you could look through the window. So, like, I was even, like, look through the window, make sure there's nobody on the roof.
There was no one.
And, yeah, it was just, I was blown away by it.
I think that's probably the loudest, like, walking I've heard, you know.
The one,
it's crazy when you hear that.
Yeah.
Definitely. Have you guys been there?
I was there. They were there before I was on the show, but I got to go there when we were filming Paranormal Challenge. I believe we did an episode there, and it's an amazing location. Just the whole structure of the building is, I think it's amazing.
We love that place.
What is your favorite place?
Yeah, what is your favorite location?
I mean, there's probably different ones for different reasons, but I think, one of the main ones I love the Goldfield Hotel. I think the Goldfield out in Goldfield, Nevada, basically halfway between Vegas and Reno, is just unbelievable. And every time I've gotten to go there twice now, and the guys have been there I think 3 times, and every single time it's just off the charts. And it's like a paranormal like amusement park. It's just everywhere you go in that building, there's just activity, and it lets you know that they're there, and whether they like you or not too. And I think some of the best evidence I know in the original documentary that just the 3 of them shot, they got a brick flying in that video. And when I was there for the second time, we actually caught a rock that lifted up and levitated and flew down the hallway about a good 20, 30 feet and hit Zach in the foot. And to this day, this is still probably one of the most, compelling visual pieces of evidence I've ever seen myself.
Now, that's an abandoned hotel, correct?
Yep. Yeah, almost the entire town is almost abandoned. I think there's maybe 90 people that live in the whole town. It was basically a boom town back, in the old days. They discovered gold there, and I think it got up to almost 20,000 people, and then, dwindled down once the gold was gone.
I want to say you were telling me about that episode when we first met, and that episode was coming out around then, or?
Yeah, I think so. I think it was pretty close, or it might have just came out then. Now, I mean, I still, even like I said, to this day, like I still think about that all the time, and I still, I try to think of how that could possibly happen, and there's no way. There's still no way that, and it's weird because things like that happen, and it's like, the world looks at this like, how could they deny that there's paranormal world out there? How can they deny that there's more to this world than what we know of? But people still do. Still, people don't quite get it, which is okay. I'm never going to force it upon people to believe things, but like you see something like that, and in my mind, like that's definitive. That's we took it to a physics professor to try to debunk it and figure it out. We took it to a Hollywood special effects artist to be like, hey, can you tell, was this doctored or was this made up? And he was amazed. He's like, no, this isn't. And if for some reason, if it was, he's like, you guys are in the wrong field, and you could be making millions in visual effects.
Go ahead, Jay.
Oh no, that was kind of about it.
I was just gonna say that I remember that episode, and when that brick actually, the stick fell and the brick flew, my mind, I'm a skeptic first too, just like you. So I'm more like, okay, what made that brick fly? Was there something attached to the stick? Was it set up? And to this day, I still hear that there were strings involved and this and that. And I'm thinking to lift that brick. Yeah, that string would have had to been pretty thick to hold that weight.
And you would have seen it.
Right, yeah, and it would take some force.
Yeah, and at the speed that thing actually lifted and flew, it was just crazy. But I actually think that was the episode I was talking about, that they jumped out the second-story window.
Was it?
Okay, I think that might have been. I know the brick, I think, was actually in the original documentary.
Yeah.
Was that one, which I think that might have been too. It's been a while since I watched it. It's kind of weird to watch it because it's, being friends with the guys and seeing them that long ago. They look so different.
Now, I know...
Aaron has hair.
I know, and I don't know if you can answer for Zach or not, but I know that he says that, the demonic and haunted are two different things, and the demonic side of things, things attached to people, and he's still being affected to this day. Do you know what type of things are actually affecting him? And there's a two-part to this. Are things actually affecting you?
I mean, I can't really necessarily speak too much about Zach personally.
Okay.
I mean, we do talk a lot, and he, shares things with me, but obviously that's things you share with, personal friends and things like that. And I know he's gone through a lot, and, he's done things to cleanse himself, and, and the thing is, I think, he's been better on a lot of things and kind of been able to, get away with, push away a lot of attachments and things that he's gotten. But the thing is, we're still doing this every other week, and, we cleanse ourselves and we get rid of these things, but there's times where it comes back and can affect us. So, this moment at this day, I can't really say, but I know he's had them in the past and he's gotten better, and then they come back, and, it's like a roller coaster ride. And, myself personally, I've had some minor, I definitely think attachments or things, that would come back with me when I come home. And, where I live up in the mountains, and it's very peaceful, quiet. I feel like I'm on vacation whenever I'm home. And I remember the one time, actually, recently, we got back from Oklahoma City, which is actually going to be in season 10 this October. I'm not sure which weekend, but one of those weekends this episode will air. And when I got home after that, there was just a thickness, when I walked into my house, and just a very negative energy. And the first night I'm sitting there, and I haven't opened any other doors, just the front door to get in the house. And my side door, which is open, is attached to the living room where I was sitting, just all of a sudden it swings wide open. It has locks to the outside. Wind comes rushing in, and, it scared the hell out of me. And like I said, it was just more negativity for a while. And I actually had a friend came over the house, and she ended up having her hair pulled. She was just freaked out. I was like, oh my God, someone just pulled my hair. So I definitely feel, especially that location, something definitely negative came back. And when you see the episode, you might understand more. But I'll let you guys, kind of leave you on a little cliffhanger for that one.
Yeah, I'm I see it.
But it's the Oklahoma City episode in season 10. But needless to say, I was able to cleanse my house. I like to use different things. I'm a fan of Palo Santo wood, which is similar to like a sage, but not sage. It's actually wood that you burn. And also, like I said, I live in the mountains, so a lot of my cleansing is actually kind of reconnecting with nature when I can, and kind of just being in a good, positive, natural state, I feel helps keep away a lot of negative energies and negative attachments.
Yeah, I know when we've met you, I mean, that's sort of the vibe I get from you is, really down to earth, fun loving, and, just a happy, soul, you and your wife. Thanks. And that's why I sort of asked, because, I look at Zach and, and those guys and the things that they go through. And if you're in those same locations, it's just a curiosity if that actually would happen to you as well. But, because anytime I've seen you, I see just the opposite. I see, a really positive vibe. So.
Yeah.
Yeah, it definitely is. And kind of to add on to that too is, I mean, like you're saying, like I feel I am a naturally, positive guy, and, usually have a smile on my face, but like that time specifically, I came back and I was just in a bad mood. There was nothing wrong, but yet I was just not happy. I didn't feel right. And, now you put together the door and my friend getting her hair pulled and just the general energy that other people would feel coming over to the house. And, I definitely feel, and like I said, once PG again, what happened in the episode, like it all makes sense. And, I feel something negative, And the thing is too, I kind of brought it onto myself too, not to elaborate too much, but, I feel a lot of the times I don't have things attached to me because I do try to close off. My job technically is to be more on the technical side of things, handle more experiments in the technology, but, some situations I can't help but, you get interactions with things, and it kind of, you get emotionally involved or even more physically involved. And I think when you do things like that, it can definitely open up to another connection. And on that, though, there's even moments, I remember we did the St. James Hotel, and there was a moment where I was, listening through, the headphones and through microphones in throughout the hotel. But there was a moment where I felt almost, it's crazy to sound, and I'm sure if I wasn't on the show and I was just telling a psychiatrist, they may lock me up, but I was sitting at Nerve Center, and I would hear things going on in this one room, which was the hot spot where all the activity supposedly goes on, or at least the most of it. And I would hear all these noises, and I started basically asking questions in my mind, and I would hear knocks and responses back, and I almost felt like I developed almost like a symbiotic psychological connection, whether it was through my brain waves, which went through the microphone cable, through the hotel into that room, out the microphone, and and then vice versa from the spirit through the cable to me, or if it was on another level, I'm not sure, but I felt like there was almost a connection, even though I was just sitting at Nerve Center, like I felt like there was this weird connection, and I was almost communicating, and I started getting emotional at Nerve Center, and I felt something, put its hand on my shoulder, and it was a pretty surreal experience. And
wow.
I don't think it made it in the episode, which, at the same time, you can't really explain that in an episode. I could sit there and be like, oh, this just happened. And,
right.
but it was pretty fascinating and almost like a beautiful experience at the same time.
Right. Wow. Now, what would be one of your most, I don't know, exciting piece of evidence that you have gotten yourself where you were just like amazed by it?
Mm-hmm.
Besides the brick one.
Right, yeah, no.
Because that one's very good.
We were at this hospital. It wasn't even really an old hospital. I think it was only closed maybe about a year or 2 years. And I think I'm going to say right, Tumule, California. And there was a hospital there, and it was, same kind of regular routine, kind of regular day in the office. And Billy and I were setting up Nerve Center, and we set up the Xbox Connect camera in what used to be a surgical suite of the hospital. And like I said, it was only closed for about maybe a year. So there were still a lot of pieces of equipment and stretchers and, like an IV drip bag stand and things like that. So we basically took all that machinery and we set it up in the surgical suite to kind of almost look as though it was set up the way it might have been. And we put the Kinect camera in there. And, we go back and we're setting up stuff, and I'm at Nerve Center, and I'm, turning on the monitors, just kind of checking everything. All the signals are good, pretty much close to get ready to go. The guys weren't going to be there for another hour. We'll be able to sit, have some food, and, guys come when we get to it. And I'm sitting there, and I check, and all of a sudden I look, and the Xbox is mapping a figure in the surgical suite.
Oh, wow.
Like, what? And I was like, what is that? And, it's just me and Bill, and I know Bill just went to grab our food from, where we have, it's called crafty area, is, a film term for where all, like, the drinks and food are kept. And, I yell, and I'm like, Billy, you got to go over here. And I grab a camera because it was amazing, and we weren't recording in the room on it, so I didn't want to miss it. So I just grabbed the camera, and I started filming the monitor. And then Billy comes running in the room, and I'm like, look, it's mapping a person in the surgical suite, but there's nobody in there. And, he's amazed. He's like, what? And, he ends up going in there, and I keep watching it, and he goes in, and it starts mapping him and this other figure. So it starts mapping two figures at the same time. And, he's like, there's no one here. It's a small room. There's no one standing there, but yet it's still mapping a figure. And the thing was, it didn't map at all. It was on for a while, and it didn't map anything, to all of a sudden do that. And the thing was, too, like, you could see it moving, like its arms were moving around, and where it was moving made it look as though it was actually operating on the little gurney kind of table that we set up. So it looked like as if it was like a doctor or somebody performing something going on. And then eventually it lasted a few minutes, a good while, and then all of a sudden it just stopped. And it was, and we went back in and checked it out, and like I said, it would still map Billy or myself even, but when it mapped this other figure now, so it wasn't just like some weird glitch or anything like that. And then so that was probably one of the amazing things that I kind of caught myself, and like I said, I noticed it first and rolled on it. And then when the guys came later, which was, we obviously told them, and they were pumped up for it, so they go right into that room. It ends up coming back, and the thing is about that, when it popped back, they weren't in the room, or they were in the room, so they couldn't see the monitor that I was watching where you could see what it's mapping.
Mm-hmm.
And all of a sudden Nick jumps up, freaking out that something's just stabbed him in the stomach. Right at the exact same time, the figure reappears and jabs into his stomach, which blew me away. One, that it came back, and two, that he reacted physically without, he didn't see it. He's in a totally different room, so there's no way he could have timed that to be like, oh, it popped back up, and he jumped, or any, you know what I mean? It was pretty amazing.
That's awesome.
And, kind of helped verify, too, what I caught earlier, which was nice.
Yeah, wow. Now, what about an EVP? What's like the most kind of strangest or best EVP you've got?
Not sure. I'm trying to...
Sorry to put you on the spot.
So many random ones. It's okay. I think one of the weirdest ones was at, where was it? It was in another California location. I think it was called Heritage Junction. And it was like an old railway stop, and there were some old buildings. It was like a little village kind of set up. And actually it was the same kind of thing where Billy and I were doing a little pre-investigation and just listening in. And I start hearing a full-on conversation, and I don't remember every word, and I don't even think we could figure out every word. But you can hear a very distinct conversation. And then, and I wish I could remember what the words were, but I can't. But the thing that really stood out for me is that you hear one of the spirits actually cough. Like you hear like these one conversation between two people going back and forth. Then you hear like like a full-on cough. And there's like the same thing. Like there's no one around. Like we've cleared the whole area. There's no way there's somebody in there or anything like that. And I think you always hear words and things, but to actually hear a cough, I thought was pretty unique, and I thought it was pretty cool.
That is wow. Yeah, I don't think I've ever heard any. You never hear about anybody having an EVP of coughing. Very unique. That's cool. Now, you were talking about when you were younger, you started getting intrigued with the paranormal. Was there things that happened to you that brought you to get intrigued?
I don't think necessarily initially to start getting intrigued. I think it might have just been almost like a genetic desire to learn, and at least that I know of. I mean, who knows? There might have been stuff when I was a really little kid and not even remember it, but which I do think a lot of young children are more in tune with paranormal, and probably we all experience stuff that we don't remember. But I do remember being younger when I started getting more into it, and found friends that were into it as well, and we would kind of share information and be like, oh, we should try doing this and that, and calling out things and having seances and things like that. And I remember being in the woods, and probably one of the first full-on paranormal experience that I remember it was during the daytime too, and it was kind of a silly thing we read in a book that you can call out different types of spirits or entities. I think it was like a Celtic mythology book or magic book that I was looking at. And, so we were like, oh, let's go out in the woods and try it. And we went out and we tried to call upon some kind of, I forget what it was, and then the energy just changed in the whole area and became very uncomfortable and scary. And, luckily I think it was around the time I had to kind of start getting home anyway and started walking. And I remember as I'm walking through the woods, I hear footsteps behind me, just through the leaves and the woods, and I look and there's nobody there, and then I walk some more, and it's kind of very almost cliche like that, walking and you stop and you look and it stops and there's no one there, and you walk some more and you hear it more. And then I remember, and I was with a friend of mine, and we both are hearing it, so it's not just me. And then all of a sudden we start going faster, and then this, whatever it was, I think now, which actually I didn't even realize until a few months ago, or actually maybe even a month and a half ago now, when we were in Ireland, that I think we might have encountered what's called an elemental, which isn't necessarily like a human spirit or even demonic. It's something else, maybe even like an ancient type of energy. And the fact that we were calling on this ancient earth-based magic, might have summoned some kind of this entity that,
right, yeah,
which to me was not happy that we did, because it definitely felt negative. And I remember just running and just hearing those steps behind us, and I would look back and, and it's so hard, and, I can't say 100% because it was so long ago and it was so crazy and fast at the moment. But I remember seeing some kind of entity, like of a mist, I don't want to say an orb, but some kind of, like entity that was like behind us at times and pop in and out and have like a glow to it. And the thing was, it was during the day, so for something to have a glow was pretty intense amount of energy. And I just remember more of the sound and, just feeling that running up behind us. And we just ran and ran as fast as we could and left the woods. And, once we went out into the woods, and it was behind like a shopping center. And, once we got to there, it was like, oh, normal world, we're safe.
Normal world.
Yeah.
And it's not safe in the normal world.
Well, it's not paranormal. It's normal, right?
Exactly.
I was just saying, is the normal world really safe, though?
No.
Yeah, I mean, there are times, too. And, I always tell people, when I talk to groups and things, and they're like, people sneaking into buildings to go investigate and things like that. And I was like, just remember, if you can get into that building, anybody can get into that building. Especially if it's an abandoned building and it's sitting there and you're sneaking in with your friends, and, I guarantee you there's other people, and, you may be lucky that you haven't run into someone, but you don't want to run into somebody, especially, who knows, it's squatters and drug addicts. And,
right, exactly.
Don't ever, anyone out there listening, don't ever illegally sneak in. There's plenty of places that you can do legally and, find people that will actually let you in.
Can't do your ghost hunting from a jail cell.
It's all about respecting the locations.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Now, I was, like I said earlier, you make these beautiful Ouija boards. What brought you to make those?
I originally made it for when we shot my film Through the Glass, the short film part.
Yeah.
The story is actually based around a Ouija board. Quick synopsis of the film is 5 friends that basically have a reunion up in the mountain, like a mountain weekend getaway, and they go up, they rent this house, and they go up and they party and have a good time. And towards the end of the night, they find an old handmade Ouija board hidden in the closet and decide to pull it out and start playing with it. So the thing with Ouija board is that actual Ouija is copywritten. So when I was doing my film, I didn't want to use a regular Ouija board. One, I think we could do something better and make it look a little creepier and scarier.
Yeah.
And so we decided to make, our own, and, came up with a design and made it to use in the film. And then start promoting the film, ended up starting making some more. And at the time I made a few because we have there's a regular board and there's a prop board, and, there's a close-up board. So you make a few different versions depending on what you're doing with it in the scene. And honestly, it was kind of a fun, kind of relaxing method, too, of creating it. So my wife and I, we would just spend some time, just kind of sit out on the side porch and just make a board. And it was very, like I said, very relaxing, and it was kind of fun to
therapeutic.
Do. Made it, exactly. And, we made a few of them, and I think we first brought them to Scarefest a few years back, and people seemed to really like them, and we got a good response. And so we started making a few more and taking them to different conventions, and, basically sold out of pretty much every one we've made. I have a couple that I've kept that I want to keep just for myself, but think all the current ones that have been made have been sold out. But so now I'm kind of left them at a build to order. You know, I'll probably still order them, but I kind of engulfed myself in it for a while, so I've kind of stepped back a little bit, and especially, you know, just recently, and I've kind of gone away from it a little bit. But obviously, we still sell them via our website at sunhousefilms.com, but they are all basically custom made to order now. So if you order one, you know, usually give me a couple weeks, and because between filming and then actually putting it all together by hand, you know. But so yeah, it was basically just originally kind of just for the film, and this whole film, the Ouija board aspect of it was actually inspired by a Ouija board experience I had, you know, a long time ago, over 10 years ago, you know, that just really terrified me, and I still think, you know, I almost lost my life to it. And, you know, and it amazes me that they sell Ouija boards in the toy aisle at shops.
Right?
Yeah, I have to agree. I've had a few head-turning experiences myself with Ouija boards, and I don't know. I've never thought of it as a game, because
right.
I've thought the same thing. Like, really, Martell makes this?
Right. Yeah.
You know?
Mattel, yeah.
You could buy
Mattel,
that. You could buy Chutes and Ladders.
Right. Yeah, sitting
what
side by
do we
side.
get this Christmas?
I don't know. Personally, it's just from the experiences I've had with it, and it's weird because, you know, I believe in the paranormal, and I go out and investigate and put myself in these locations, but myself, I won't even let a board come into my house. So it's like, it's just my personal safety factor, I guess, you know?
Which, of course,
yeah.
probably stems
There's
from
times,
those
you know, like,
experiences.
I get in debates with myself and other people all the time, and I go back and forth, and, you know, some parts of me are like, oh, what's the difference between using a spirit box and a Ouija board?
Yeah.
Or, you know, calling out for EVPs and a Ouija board. Like, it's all kind of the same, but I think a Ouija board has a much more personal connection, you know, to it. You know, and it's a much more older practice. Like, it goes way back. It's one of the first forms of, you know, supernatural or spiritual communications.
Yeah.
You know, there's in the old days, even before boards, you know, people just used to draw in the sand, you know, letters, and use something to kind of get responses from deities or, you know, lost relatives and ancestors and things. So it's a pretty old form of communication, you know, but, you know, and I think, you know, it can definitely, I think people use it and they open themselves up too much with it, and then you can open yourself up a whole lot with it. So that, I say, kind of you develop more of a personal connection with it than so much like a spirit box or something like that, which is more of a technology that's kind of doing the work for you almost.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Very true. Yeah, that is definitely a good way of looking at it. Now, you have in production or still in production the Into the Woods. Is that something that you're still working on, or?
Yeah, that's that was a project that I wrote and plan on directing. I did Through the Glass, the short film, a couple years ago, and then at the time I was like, all right, let me start planning my next project, and I started developing Into the Woods as, you know, a feature film, and started developing that and started putting that together, and, you know, pretty much close through all the development and pretty much done. And once basically funding and, you know, the budgeting all comes together, I could go into that. But I got to a point where I was like, okay, now I need to, you know, start raising the funds and all that fun part of filmmaking. But then I kind of got to a point I was looking, I finished editing the short film of Through the Glass, and then I was kind of like, you know what, I want to extend this. And so I kind of put Into the Woods slightly on hold, and now going to finish up Through the Glass before I start Into the Woods, which is fair. I should finish one project completely before I just start a brand new one. But
does
right
Ashley
now,
say to you, you need to finish something? Finish that first.
Right? Not necessarily. I mean, she's supportive, and she has tons of her own projects, and, you know, I always tell people, like, I'll have projects I'm sure that I've been working on my entire life that may never really finish. And I've where I live at my house, I have a full recording studio in the basement, and, you know, there's I have musical songs and albums that, you know, will probably never be heard and never truly be finished, and scripts that will never be totally finished, and, you know, but, you know, Into the Woods is definitely, it's pretty much ready to get started in production. Most of it's already casted and put together. Like, literally all the pieces are there. It's just about, you know, pulling the trigger at this time. And like I said, I want to, you know, finish and dedicate my time to Through the Glass, and then once that's finished, then I'll dive right into the Woods. And, you know, unless, unfortunately, some other random idea pops in, and I say, go with that one instead. But, yeah.
Right. So tell our listeners one very random fact that no one knows about Jay Wasley.
Well, it's hard to say if no one knows. I'm sure there's someone out there.
Most people don't know.
Right. Well, one thing I would say is that I am a Manxman.
A Manxman?
What is that?
Yeah.
It's people from the Isle of Man. And my father was born on the Isle of Man, which is a little tiny island between England and Ireland. But they're actually their own country. They have their own government, their own form of currency, their own language, and everything.
Wow.
It's a little-known fact about me, and it's also a little-known country that people don't really know much about.
Wow.
But I think, honestly, maybe now thinking about it, that might have been something that spawned, you know, interest in the paranormal and things when I was younger. That island is still to this day, very mystical, and they believe in magic and witches and fairies, and, you know, they're very, you know, a lot of their homes have, like, thatched roof cottage. It's such a small little island, and, you know, very still, you know, buried in the history and their belief system. So probably from kind of growing up with that kind of an influence probably definitely helped inspire my interest in the paranormal.
So does your family speak that language?
No, it's kind of one of those dead languages, really. It's like a unofficial dead language. You know, they speak English, but, you know, they have their own original dialect that, you know, the people that live there kind of, you learn it, but you never use it, kind of thing. It's a very similar language to Gaelic. You know, it's very big on, like, Celtic culture and things like that. And I couldn't really tell you any of it. I know maybe my dad knows some random words still, but yeah, he was from there. My mother was actually born in Manchester, England. So, yeah, so I'm basically 50% Manx and 50% British, and the only American born in my immediate family.
Wow. Very cool. I've never heard of that place ever.
Yeah,
now I got to go look it up on the map.
Yeah, definitely. It's they're basically known for two things. One is the Manx cat, which is a breed of cat that is born without a tail. So some people that are into cats might know of a Manx cat, but they wouldn't know why it's called a Manx cat.
Right.
But they're known for that, and also they have in the motorcycle circuit, they have races called the TT races, which is this yearly annual motorcycle race where they race around the island, and like so many racers die. It's one of the most dangerous motorcycle races in the world. You know, it's these little islands and these little curvy country roads, and they go flying down the end. Like I said, every year there's a number of riders that die, so they're kind of known for this, you know, this very intense, you know, you know, if you race that race, you're, you know, pretty serious in the motorcycle community.
All right, how do you spell the country's name?
It's the Isle of Man, ISLEOFMAN.
Of Man.
As you're talking, I'm actually trying to look it up.
Yeah, she's like typing and stuff. He's like, I'm not getting anything. Now, I have a couple questions that I sometimes ask some of our guests, and I'm going to ask you, if you were to have a paranormal party, of people who have passed away, and these can be people that are very well known or personal to you. Who would be at that paranormal party?
I think people that, I'll probably invite some close people, relatives and family members, and to kind of go on to what I was just talking about. A lot of my relatives I knew as a child, but never really got too close because I was born in America, and my immediate family, they moved here before I was born and lived here, so I never got too close to a lot of my grandparents. And we were close, obviously, in family whenever we would see each other, but it wasn't like, oh, we're going to grandma's house every Sunday or things like that. So I'd love to be able to, actually, have them over and be able to enjoy them even more than I could have while they were here. And then I think on a fun level, I would love to, I would want John Bonham, Jimi Hendrix, Kurt Cobain, as long as he's clean, and I would have a jam session, and there's probably a lot of other greats, I'd invite Janis Joplin and John Entwistle and just all these amazing, talented musicians that, unfortunately died at young ages or, from stupid things, but just amazing talent, and just be able to have a jam session with them. And then I would want, in another corner, I'd want people, like a lot of like Einstein and even Darwin and, people of that nature that I could just sit in the corner and have debates with and philosophical conversations.
Nice.
Wow. I don't think we've ever had anybody give those answers.
No.
We sometimes get where they're like, I don't know.
Most people think so.
And then we were like, oh, I'm going to have,
Right.
this person.
Right.
Now, the other question is, who would be your paranormal superstar?
Someone you look up to in the field.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know if I have an individual specific person, but honestly, I think I look up to the field itself, if that counts as an answer.
Mm-hmm.
I look at it and I feel it's one of the things that actually kind of saddens me sometimes is when I see the paranormal community and how it can be very individualized and very, I'm better, I'm the best. And, honestly, there's no real professional. There's no real master of the paranormal. There's people obviously have different experiences and different levels of how long they've been doing it and things, but, there's still no one that really truly knows 100% the answers. So I don't think there's anybody that I would really want to, dedicate as, oh, that's the person to, really go by, because we don't know. But I think as a community itself, you look at it as a whole, and there's so much going and so much amazing things. And then it saddens me when you see the negativity and the people pointing fingers and yelling, and I'm better than you, or you're better than me. It's it's not. We're all going for the same thing. We're all going for the same answers. And I love it, and I see it all the time, too, when the paranormal community does come together, and you can actually interchange stories and talk about different things, and, that's when real information can really, actually come about and can actually really, we can eventually change the mindset of society. And, so I think that's why I say, the paranormal culture as a whole instead of just a certain individual. So we need to kind of start thinking of it that way, and, it's not a competition. We're a group of people, and we should be looking at ourselves as a group.
We're all looking for the same thing.
That is
the
very well
exact
said.
same thing. It's funny. When you hear people, when you're talking to them, and they're like, "Yeah, I'm the best at this. I'm best," and it's like, no, you obviously could still learn something in this world. There's so much that other people can give to other people. Instead of putting them down, they can, teach them, and you can learn from one another. And
Exactly.
we love, when go investigate, say, with another team or whatever, and they have like a great idea in the way they investigate.
They approach an investigation.
Yeah. And we'll take that in and use that ourselves because that's a great idea. That's a great way to get what we need.
Yeah.
And
sort of filter the things that don't work and the things that do.
Right. And we always give them credit for, the idea and thank them, that's a great idea. And, us too, we've had people, tell us, wow, that's a great idea. We love how you do that. We wish we had a team that was like that or whatever. And, that makes us feel good that, we're able to share a little bit of us with, them and vice versa. And, I don't think we have any time for, the drama and the,
it's very deconstructive.
Yeah.
The one thing that I think is amazing is when people say, well, this is it. This is the way it is. And I'm like, anytime I think I grasp the paranormal, it's like the next time I go to an investigation, it's like something happens. I go, well, there goes that theory.
Right.
It's like it constantly is changing. It's constantly making me question. And that's what makes me drive for more and more and more of this.
Exactly. Me too.
Going to the next thing.
I think that's part of the reason, too, why, like, even the show itself has evolved and changed over the years. Is because, you do things and you try things and we're at we want to be like, all right, let's try something different, and every location is a different show, really, you never, a lot of people, we hear things like, oh, it's different now or that, and, not too much, people still like it, but, you always hear random things and it's like, well, you kind of have to evolve, you have to change it up a little bit to, you only investigate one way the whole time, you're not going to get really a good judgment,
exactly.
what's really going on.
And you really need to adapt to that environment because the same thing is going to help your investigation in another where you need to, try different approaches. And
and what worked at one location might not work at another, and something that didn't work might be perfect at another spot.
Right, exactly. But, I definitely think there needs to be a lot more unity, a lot more of kind of learning from one another and sharing, and we love just sitting and talking with people. Like recently we were at the haunted Victorian mansion in Gardner, Mass. Okay. We were there last year, but we were there doing a book interview and a book signing thing. And a whole bunch of different people that had investigated there before as well were there, and just to hear all their stories and to get together and just talk about, what they got and what we got. And it's just, I love it. It's fun. Yeah. It's awesome, It's just to even have confirmation from like, this happened to me. Wow. Well, that happened to me too. And it's awesome.
Yeah, validation. It only strengthens it. Yeah.
So Jay, what's next for you and Funhouse Films and Ghost Hunters? I apologize, Ghost Adventures. Oh, Steve's going to be like giving me crap for this for the rest of the night. I apologize.
That's all right. We're still shooting new episodes of Ghost Adventures. We shoot pretty much every other week, and we're still working on season 10. Season 10 starts airing October 4th, and October is going to be insane. Some of the most amazing locations, I still think back and like, wow, like we've actually got to go to some amazing places. And October and leading up to actually this Halloween, it'll be Friday, the 31st. We have another 2-hour Halloween special that we filmed in Ireland, which was unbelievable. One of my most favorite experiences I've ever had. So that's really exciting, and I hope you guys all can catch those. And if not, I'm going to be excited anyway to watch them and kind of be able to relive those moments again, because they were pretty fascinating, and I can't wait to, like I said, just to be able to watch it again and be like, wow, yeah, it's crazy because I experience these things and go through it, and then it's like, well, I can't really share it with people too much because one, I can't spoil things before the episode comes out. It's like such amazing things that I want to just be like, oh, there was this and there's this and that, So when the new shows are coming on, I do personally get excited because it's like, oh, now I can finally see it, and then I can talk about it and, you know, share it with people. And, you know, and I think this season is definitely one for the books. I think you guys will really like it, and you definitely push the envelope a lot. And then Funhouse Films, we'll be shooting Through the Glass, hopefully sometime this fall, sometime in the next month or two, and finish that up and start working on to the next one. So definitely probably the best way is funhousefilms.com is the website, my company and myself, where we sell our merchandise, and, you know, we put up little news bulletins here and there, and kind of catch up. And then on Twitter at jwasley, and also at Funhouse Films. You can kind of follow us those and find us on Facebook and all that good stuff. And, you know, we'll definitely keep getting busy. There's a lot of other kind of top secret projects in the works as well that I think you guys would be very excited about, but unfortunately.
You know, Jay, it's just you and I and Steve right here.
Yeah,
you tell us. We won't tell anybody.
It's like one of those things. I wish I could. It's just a few very, 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 very exciting things that are in the works. And, you know, that when they come about, we'll definitely share and talk all about it.
I hate that. It's like, you know, presents under the Christmas tree, and you can't.
Right.
You can shake it and can push on it, but you don't know what's in it.
Right. And I also think I think Aftershocks are starting up again too, and I think sometime this month as well, which was pretty awesome and exciting to be able to work on that series and to kind of, you know, I think if you're a fan of the show, it's really cool because you get to revisit the places. And it was cool to just be able to, like, see the people and have them come, you know, out, you know, to the warehouse and film and to kind of reconnect and hear what's been going on. And it kind of goes to what we were talking about, how the importance of the paranormal community is to communicate, you know, and to share information. And, you know, with that show, you know, it's not like the regular show, obviously, but it allows that communication to keep going, you know, and we learn a lot of cool things and some uncool things too, and unfortunate things that we find out that have occurred. And, you know, it's definitely it's a roller coaster of an emotional show.
Yeah, wow. Now, if you can do us a favor and tell Nick congratulations on his brand new baby.
Yeah, pass that along.
That's great news.
Actually, Nick, I believe, lives around this area, doesn't he?
In Mass?
And I believe he lives around Mass. I think he just opened a gym, from what I remember.
Yeah, yeah, he's up around that way.
Not too far from us. Well, say hello to Ashley for us.
Yeah, and tell her thank you for you know, letting us steal your valuable time from her. So.
Yeah.
No problem. I think she's probably taking photos or working on some art projects. She's keeping busy herself.
Yeah. Are you guys going to have little Wasley babies coming around?
Really
probably eventually. I mean, it's tough because, you know, she works on the show with us as well.
Right.
She's traveling with us. She does all the still photography, the behind the scenes photography that you see on promotionals and, you know, the Travel Channel website. So, you know, we're on the road, you know, every other week, and, you know, one day we will, but, you know, wait till the timing's right.
I love that. Traveling paranormal family.
Yeah. Little baby ghost adventurers.
Right. That's awesome.
Like gypsies, I like to say.
Well, I just want to say thank you. I know you're tired, and you know, to take your time and
hang out with us.
You'd be able to hang out with us and tell
absolutely.
us a little bit about
I appreciate you guys. You know, I think it's great what you guys and everyone else that does this. And, you know, like I said, it's all about the communication and sharing information, especially these days alone. We're in such an amazing age yet. You know, people don't realize that, you know, there was like the you know, medieval age, and then there's the bronze, you know, not in the right order, but Bronze Age and all that. And then there's like the industrial age, and now we're in the age of technology and information. Like the sharing of information could evolve and expand our human race beyond our imagination. And I think a lot of people aren't even aware that we're that powerful right now as a society. But I think once we realize, like, wow, we are pretty advanced, and, we can just tweak it a little bit and stay to the positive, and we can do amazing things all together.
Definitely. Positive definitely makes a huge difference in
I'm scared
all
to know
situations.
what the next age
Oh, yeah.
Right. Well, thank you so much for joining us tonight. We really appreciate it. And
stay safe.
To go get some nice peaceful out in the countryside rest for all
Oh yeah, definitely will.
And good luck with Through the Glass. I'm
special projects.
Yes, the secret projects.
Definitely, I appreciate it.
All right. Well, until next time we see you again, you take care. And thanks again for joining us.
Thanks, Jay.
Yeah, you too. Thanks.
Good night.
Good night. Bye.
Bye.
What a nice man. He's always nice.
Yeah, I'm telling you, there's a positive vibe from him every time I've met him. So, I sort of felt bad because I know he was tired from his conversation when he first started, and I'm looking at the clock. I'm like, oh, an hour.
I know. I looked at the clock.
Like,
I'm like, oh my gosh, time totally flew.
But
that's crazy.
I'm glad he took the time to
join us. Absolutely.
Tell us a little bit about what's going on with him, what's going on with Ghost Adventures. And
I
had to do that because you said I would give you a hard time.
I feel horrible. What a terrible thing for me. It was not intentional. I totally
so much going
apologize.
on this side of the mic that things happen. So
Jay Wasley is such a busy man. He's had his hands in so many things. I mean, some of the clients from his production crew include like NBC, Fox, Travel Channel, Discovery Channel, Comedy Central, A&E, AOL, National Geographic, Nickelodeon, Yahoo, Wendy's TNT Latin American, MTV.
Did you say he's part of my A&E family?
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Woohoo! He was actually did some work with Punk'd.
Nice.
Yeah. Of course, he's been a part of, Ghost Adventures, Aftershock. Like I said before, Jenny McCarthy's show, Amish Mafia. Have you seen that?
What is it?
Amish Mafia.
Amish Mafia.
Amish.
Yes,
Amish.
I've seen it. Haven't done much with it.
I want to say some of my coworkers have watched that.
I ain't messing with them though.
No.
Don't ever mess with anybody named Mafia.
No.
No.
Breaking Amish.
Probably some of the nicest guys you'll ever meet, but don't cross them.
Right. Of course, Paranormal Challenge, Party Smashers, Hockey Mom, Wreck Chasers. Well, that had to be fun. Wreck Chasers.
He's definitely got a long list of things going on.
Oh my God!
And I mean, just the stuff we do. I mean, I know how tired I get just from going here, there, and everywhere, radio show, life, and everything else. So, I mean, reading that list, I was like, wow, when does he sleep?
I should have asked him why he didn't perform at the awards.
You know when he sleeps?
Probably
8 o'clock to 9 o'clock on Monday nights.
Yep. And we
just
kept
kidding.
him awake.
I'm just kidding. Having a little fun.
Oh, it's funny. I love it. All right, so you guys make sure you keep your eyes open for his film.
All his little projects.
Yeah. Lots of projects. But
and once we find out about him, we will let you know.
But it's Through the Glass. It's coming soon. Sounds like a really great storyline based on something that he experienced himself. I
want to actually see that, the one about the Ouija board too.
That's what it is.
Oh, is it?
Yep. Through the Glass.
Oh, I thought it was a different one. But okay, then I'm watching it.
You're watching it?
Yep.
I want you guys to not forget that next week we have the Blacks on, Riley and Stephen Black from Black Cross Paranormal, and the host of Club Para.
Whoop, whoop.
Whoop, whoop. Yeah. And then the following week we have the author Chris Rondina. He's the author of Vampires of New England and Ghost Ships of New England. Really nice man. Along with the following week we have Bill Wallace. I can't wait for that one.
Yeah.
I can't wait for all these people are awesome.
I know October's starting to ramp up, and September, and the radio show is going strong through September. October is starting to ramp up for our events, and very exciting.
Yes, Halloween's going to be a lot of fun.
So,
like our special show for Halloween, but we're not going to tell you what it is.
Oh, we got a cliffhanger. Cliffhanger. Definitely want people to start looking and start making plans for October 5th for, I believe it's 7 o'clock.
Yep, 7 o'clock.
The Seacoast Repertory Theater. Limited number of tickets are going to be available.
Very limited. I'm not sure if the ticket sales are up yet. They weren't.
You can go on to seacoastrepertorytheater.com, I believe it is, or go into a search engine.
I think it's the seacoastrep.com. Anyways, that's in Portsmouth, New Hampshire. That is where the team had investigated a few times, but that if you want to even kind of a little baseline of things that go on there, you could look up My Ghost Stories.
Spirits in the Spotlight.
Yep, and it's episode 64.
64.
And it is near the end of that actual
episode. It's the fourth out of 5 shows. So.
Yep, and you'll see Steve's really big head.
Thanks. That's because they did a close-up.
Yes.
I think they were like 20 feet away from me.
I still think it's funny how you talk like this, like in the beginning, and you were really nervous.
That's because I was in the dark. There were people coming out of the woodwork. That's someone, like, literally their job was to pull the straw out of my paper, you know, and one person put the straw in the drink. I was like, where are these people coming from? Yeah, it was a great experience. I joke about that stuff all the time, but it's like A&E, they treated me and Nate very well while we were out there. We had a fantabulous time.
Nate is an employee of the Seacoast Rep and actually
marketing
one
director.
Of the performers.
Yeah, marketing director
too.
And actor.
And it's actually the ending with Nate is actually quite humorous.
That's what I liked about it. They put a little comedy in it, which was good.
It's definitely cool. So you got to check it out. If you don't find it, we actually on our team website have the link on it on one of the pages. I want to say one of the first pages on the website, and you'll see it right there. There's a link to one of the copies of the episode, so you can check it out. See Steve's big head.
I'll tell you, I've seen, we've heard a little girl giggle. We've felt cold air. The little spirit, Precocious, loves to play games. She is very strong to the women. She tries to shy away from guys, it seems. This is just my experiences in the 4 times I've been there. I've heard footsteps, brooms across the stage. It's like somebody sweeping the floor. Lights being blacked out. Cold air actually going through your body. K2 sessions through the roof. EVP's been pulled out of there. I actually caught a shadow of a man standing up. Just craziness. We've even had a growl. When they were filming, the camera guy heard a growl out of the room. So you never know what you're going to hear. Yeah, and the thing is nothing really feels scary there to me. Like nothing that's going to hurt you, which sort of caught me off guard with the growl. We had actually our camera guy and our quiet Steve. I call him camera guy, but he does a lot more than that.
Did you see what Steve wrote?
Big.
Yeah, I think he's talking about your head.
Thanks, Steve. So I'm going to call him Quiet Steve, our camera guy, then, because I was going to say he does a lot more than that. But for that comment, he also heard a growl in between me and myself and him in one of the hallways. So it's a large gamut of things that happen there.
It was on your stomach?
No.
No? You sure?
Yes.
Because usually it's your stomach.
No. I wasn't in the room when the camera guy heard it.
Oh, maybe it was Steve's stomach.
Steve was actually standing out with me.
Oh. Sure it wasn't your stomach?
You want to hear what my stomach sounds like? I wish I had that queued up.
Hangers moving?
Oh, yeah, hangers moving.
That's what it's
That
called.
was what actually was the tinging sound, the games that Precocious plays, yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
I remember you guys talking about
we
that.
caught orbs that come out of a wall and go past investigators. And I'm not a big orb person, but those were definitely brilliant. So I can't wait. I cannot wait to get back in there.
We also are very fortunate. We have seen some amazing paranormal people that are donating items that we are going to raffle off.
Are we just raffling them there?
I think we are going to raffle them off through the whole month of October.
Awesome.
Right? I believe that's the plan. Don't quote me on it.
Good causes.
Yep. So we're talking about stuff that, are given to us to be raffled off by people throughout the paranormal community.
Which we thank so much for that.
One of those people is actually our guest tonight, who's going to be donating something. Huh?
I should have thanked him.
Yeah, well, you can still thank him.
We'll have to call him back. He might be sleeping by now. Yeah, thank you, Jay. The community is actually a great giving community.
Absolutely.
So
definitely.
I was actually hearing on a radio show, a local radio show this morning on my way to work. They were saying that the motorcycle community is a great giving community, and there's not many groups out there that do that type of stuff. And my whole thought process driving, I'm like, the paranormal field. Because, these guys and women in the paranormal field give so much, their time, their effort, objects, whatever, they're out there to help. So, for that, hey, thank you. Give you guys yourself a round of applause.
Yeah, actually, speaking of the motorcycle, I think our Quiet Steve just did a ride this past weekend.
Yep.
For I can't remember what it was. It was someone's ride. Sarah's ride. I believe that. It was Sarah's ride. So
we're waiting for him to comment on that.
As he pops up.
He just wrote, yes, I did, but I believe it was called Sarah's ride.
So big props to him.
Yeah.
Portsmouth firefighter. Oh. Awesome.
So.
We should just have him call in and he can tell us all that.
Sarah's right.
He's
like, called Sarah's
no.
Right.
Anyways, all right. So we want to definitely thank our guests once again for calling in, talking with us tonight, and spending a lot of time with us, which is awesome. And thank our listeners for listening tonight. We definitely appreciate it. Always grateful for every one of you. Make sure you check out our Facebook pages, become our friends, and like our pages, Into the Unknown Realm. We have a group page, and we also have a like page. So go ahead and give us a like on the like page. And on the group page, we also have our team page, which is STIRS, which is Seeking the Unknown Realm Society. We have a friend page and a like page, so go ahead and check those out, become our friend, and like those as well.
You can even throw us a message if you have a guest that you would love us to get on the air and listen to.
Yeah, definitely.
I say we. Naomi right here definitely works tirelessly trying to get a hold of people and come up with ideas for guests, and she does amazing at that, but, people that you guys want to hear.
Big.
Well, right. Definitely, my hat's off to you with what you do. So.
Hey, I don't do this alone.
But
I have two amazing Steves that help me. What luck is that? Two, not just one. Two amazing Steves.
One of us talks.
Hey,
I know.
Sometimes.
I'm just. He's. I owe him.
We both owe him. But
Steve knows how much I appreciate what he does, so.
Definitely. Oh, listen. Shh. Anyways, so go and check out those pages because you will find out more information about our fundraisers coming up. October is going to be a fun month.
We should have a list of everything that we have when we get that list.
Yes, we are collecting them all. Actually, my phone's been kind of going a little off the handle.
Which is good.
Yeah, definitely. And we appreciate everybody's donations. Can't even thank you enough. Is there any other things that we could?
Nope,
we
just
need
be
to talk
safe.
About?
If you're investigating this weekend or this week or sometime in the near future and we haven't talked to you, be safe. Have fun, be safe.
Have fun, be safe.
Be out there for the right reasons. That's all I got to say.
That's all you have to say?
And enjoy football. Football's back on. I love that. Even though the Pats lost.
Yeah, but they're going to win this week.
Oh, they're going 15-1.
Yeah.
Actually, my real prediction is they're going 13-3. So.
Yeah.
Yep.
As long as they're all in the Super Bowl, right?
That's right.
Right.
They'll be there.
Yeah, I want to congratulate you on a really nice season.
Yeah,
your baseball.
we fell short, but my boys, we definitely played hard in that last playoff game. So.
Yep.
I don't know if any of them are listening, but we ended up losing 12-8, but we played our hearts out and left it on the field. So
definitely, you were doing your little amazing stuff yourself. I call it stealing home, but you call it what?
I scored on a pass ball, past the catcher.
Yeah.
Play to the plate, loved it. Safe was the call. Yeah.
That was awesome.
Okay. I have moments of brilliance on the field, so.
All right, so we'll catch everybody next week as we talk to the Blacks. You do not want to miss it because these two are so much fun. You're going to have a lot of fun with them. And definitely go Patriots because they are number one. Even though they lost, they're definitely number one. Everybody have a awesome week, and we will be back here next Monday.
See ya!
The historical Fort William Henry Conference Center and Resort is a proud sponsor of DTM Wicked Radio. If you're looking for a relaxing getaway, the historical Fort William Henry Resort and Conference Center is your destination. Come enjoy the beautiful mountains, the gorgeous lake, and everything Lake George has to offer in upstate New York, right off the Adirondack Mountains. For reservations, you can go to www.fortwilliamhenry.com or call 1-800-234-0267. The Fort William Henry Resort and Conference Center is your destination for the perfect getaway.
This is the rocker, Keith Ramsey from Deep South Paranormal, and you're listening to Steve and Naomi on Into the Unknown Realm on DTM Wicked Radio.
Rolling Hills Asylum. Located in East Bethany, New York, just minutes between two major airports, Rolling Hills Asylum is a hotbed of paranormal activity. They have been featured on Travel Channel's Ghost Adventures, Paranormal Challenge, as well as Sci-Fi Channel's Ghost Hunters. Rolling Hills Asylum has been named the #2 most haunted location in the United States by HauntedNorthAmerica.com. The property was established on January 1st, 1827, as the county poor farm. Throughout the years, it has operated as a poor farm, infirmary, orphanage, tuberculosis hospital, nursing home, and more. Past residents and inmates consist of widows, orphans, physically disabled, mentally unstable, murderers, and more. Over 1,700 bodies are buried in unmarked graves, and hundreds more deaths went undocumented. Rolling Hills Asylum is known for a plethora of phenomena, including disembodied voices, doors slamming, footsteps, sounds of furniture moving, full-body apparitions, shadow people, ghostly touches, and numerous Class A EVP. Rolling Hills Asylum proudly offers historical and flashlight tours, 4- and 8-hour public ghost hunts, 8- and 9-hour private ghost hunts, and more, by appointment or pre-booking only. For more information, please visit www.rollinghillsasylum.com. That's www.rollinghillsasylum.com. Or give them a call, 585-502-4066. That's 585-502-4066. Rolling Hills Asylum. What are you doing this weekend?